Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Sort of. As we go into 2023, once again, by popular demand, yes, popular demand, Peter, popular demand. I've had a lot of people requesting that I would go back to doing the format that I was doing before. And while I am not in a position right now to be willing to do this every week, I am going to bring back the monthly recaps, which is what this is. So we're going to be looking at the expected kits for January of 2023 in this video. We're taking a suggestion from our friend James Tester of Scale Model Experiment, who is always like, yeah, it's cool that you do that, but you're just sort of reading a list, and it's not very conducive to knowing what things are without knowing what things are, if that makes sense, right? If you don't know, you don't know, in the sense of not having any pictures to go along with it. This post is meaningless without pictures, as the old saying would go. So, we're going to be bringing back this monthly recap format. With just reviewing the kits that are expected, obviously, and we're going to be adding the box art photos that I can find, if they exist, for the items with them. So you at least have an idea not only what box art you're looking for, but also what the actual object is if you're not familiar with the thing. Like a lot of the JDM cars, I realize, are not exactly frontline US domestic consumer knowledge like they are with some of us. So you will be able to see, in most cases, I think I have 2 or 3 kits in this that don't have box art images, that either aren't available or the ones that I could find are so tiny they wouldn't show up, not worth putting in the video. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the bringing back of this part. I plan to also do like new kit news as well this year, so there will be a video in the next day or two going over the Revell 2023, Revell Germany, if you will, new tool announcements for that. Uh, we're going to do a couple other videos sort of catching up other expected kits coming up in the soon to be future, if you will, as well as some bench updates. What are we going to be doing for 2023? A year in review of 2022. I actually built a kit last year. A lot of you folks who don't know me personally don't realize that I actually completed a model. So we'll take a look at that and what projects we have going in the first quarter of this year. And yeah, there'll be more of the stash ad videos coming up as well. I have them scheduled in advance for a couple of once a weekend. Basically, I think they're going to be on Saturdays. I think that's why I have them scheduled, because I have two done already that you haven't seen. The one that you just got yesterday. Uh, Obviously, a lot of you have seen. Good to see some old names pop up in the comments. Appreciate all the support for bringing the channel back. And yeah, I do intend to have the channel be active this year. We did take off pretty much last year in general, and YouTube as a whole, pretty much the whole back half of 2022. I did watch everybody's videos. I tried to leave comments where comments felt appropriate. Give you guys thumbs up if nothing else, if I was just watching them along. So anyway, enough blathering on. Let's take a look at what we're going to get at this month in January. And as always, we're going to start on the domestic side of things, because I know a lot of you folks will bounce out after that. So the domestic side of things here is going to be primarily all around 2 kits. There are a few like reissues from Revell lingering at this point that were announced last year that still haven't come out. Revell US having now combined with the RC division, or the slot car division, of Revell German's ownership, and moving itself to Atlanta, has produced a few things that have come out this year in 2022, as far as like the Oldsmobile 71 442 and a few other reissues, the 70 I want to say Superbird, but that's not it, the 70 Roadrunner, and then a couple other kits that have been reissued that have been pending for a long time. There are several more. I think about half a dozen kits at this point right now that are pending, that were supposed to have come out that still haven't. But with the distribution still being wonky at best, it's hard to tell you what, if anything, will be coming out in January. So if a Revell kit does get released, um, we'll cover it either at the beginning of an episode, or we'll throw something up in the middle of the month or something. We'll figure out how to cover that as it happens. Salvino's still going strong. They will have a 2023 Mustang, 2023 Camaros, and the 2023 Camry coming out in the first quarter of this year. Um, for anybody who doesn't follow them and for some reason didn't bother to get any information about new models while I was gone for the last 6 months, yes, they did get secure the licensing for Ford and Toyota, so there will be a Mustang and a Camry. You'll be able to build every single next gen car, as far as manufacturers go, coming up in 2023. And they secured licensing for Joe Gibbs Racing and Penske at this point for Toyota and Ford, respectively. So there will be at least four Penske car Mustangs coming out, and at least four Gibbs Camrys coming out. They are working on additional licensing. For Camaros, you're looking at pretty much all the teams we had in 2022 as far as Hendricks and Trackhouse and Petty GMS and all of those other things. And again, they're working for further licensing on some of the other GM teams as well. So we'll see. For the January kits from Salvino's right now, we don't know what they are. It is a situation where they have decals done for some 2023 Camaros for drivers that you would expect them to have them done for going early in the year. However, those cars have not officially been released as far as the 1-to-1 scale paint schemes, so they can't tell you what the kit of the month is going to be. I'm under the impression from listening to some of the live shows that the Salvino's crew does that they have to have those announcements out by the 15th of January for some reason. I guess because you have to pre-announce who's running your livery for the Busch Clash, I guess, and for Daytona 500. So it sounds like the kit of the month people may get a kit. They don't know who's actually going to be in the box come January, because it's going to ship the day beforehand. So keep an eye on Jayski's Silly Season website on the 2023 paint schemes as far as what Hendricks schemes might be dropping in the next couple days, and then I'll give you a heads-up idea before they officially announce what to expect there. So, yeah, 2023 Camaros out of Salvino's for January, Mustangs in February, Camrys probably in March. That'll probably be what the general gist is there. And they'll put you some add-on kits here and there because they're going to be doing a 2022 Mustang and a 2023 Mustang, differences in the induction system and how the hoods are set up between those 2 years. You guys have probably seen, if you paid any attention to all the 2022 Mustangs, are going to be the two Penske cars, the Joey Logano Championship car, and the Austin Cindric Daytona 500 winner. No graphics for those because by now you guys know what those look like. Those are going to be the only two kits that are going to be 2022 spec. Everything after that will be 2023 spec. And so some of those kits will be kit of the month. Some of them will be a add-on. Again, it all depends on how everything flows with that as to what you get as... Again, if you're not in the kit of the month, it really doesn't matter. You're just going to pick it up when it goes to your local hobby shop. For the people who are in the kit of the month, which one of those kits is the kit of the month and which ones are kits we can buy afterwards remains to be seen. So, that all being said, that was quite a mouthful. Let's pop into round 2 for what we're going to get this coming month of January. Quite a bit. There's 12 kits in this. First up, and it's a little bit of an oddity, and something I probably wouldn't normally include, but this is a factory stock vehicle in its 2-in-1 phase, is going to be a release underneath the Space 1999 banner for the Moon Buggy from Moonbase Alpha. Moonbase. Haha. Anyway, the reason why we're covering this is because it can actually be built as a factory stock Ampacat 6x6 ATV. So apparently they saw this vehicle was back in the 1970s when it was a real thing, and they decided, hey, if we glue some stuff on it, throw some stickers on it, that would make a cool lunar rover thing, and that's what they did. So you can build the factory stock one in here. You obviously can build the one from Space 1999. It is 1/24 scale, so it is a car scale, the scale that we cover here. So that is the reason for its inclusion in this episode. 2 kits underneath the MPC label for the month of January. First, you have this, the Harry Schmitz Blue Max Long Nose Mustang Funny Car, molded in blue and black. So for people who don't like to paint, yeah, I guess you don't have to paint the body, although you know how body matching paint, or I should say molded in color bodies matching paint works, usually not really close. New decals, pad printed drag slicks, the whole 9 yards there. So this is, I believe, the first time this kit has been out since the 1970s, if I remember the literature correctly. So that is certainly an option. And the other one is a kit that I want to say that nobody asked for, but yet we're still getting anyway, is the little Hustler version of the Datsun pickup. So this is the 1975 Datsun pickup truck in its Gasser Pro Street version, Pro Stock, because technically those aren't treaded tires, so it's not a Pro Street. Yeah, This can't be built stock. It is only what you see here. Tilt front end of the big, actually, I think it's a bored out small block Chevy at that point. Jacked up, super jacked up suspension. This is a super jacked up kit in general. But yeah, I mean, it's an odd thing. It hasn't, I don't believe, been reissued since the 1970s either. Might have had an 80s reissue in there somewhere, but certainly hasn't been seen recently. At least not in my memory. I didn't look this up on Scale Mesa C, so I could be talking out my pie hole for the first time in 2023 already. But yeah, this hasn't been around for a while. I think it's been gone almost as long as the factory stock version was. It came out a few years ago. But yeah, if it's something you're into, that's certainly an option for you. And everything else here is going to be AMT based. We're going to look at a couple of sort of oddities first here. Italeri reboxes. You may recall they started doing this at the end of 2020 into 2021, where they were taking some Italeri 124 scale American tractor trailers, reboxing them into AMT boxes and charging a small fortune for them. I believe the retail on these is $114, which probably means they're going to be like $80 in a hobby shop, which tends to put them more expensive than the Italeri kits. Now, sometimes the Italeri kits you're comparing them to are old. The decals might be questionable. Is $30 worth a set of decals? It depends on what kind of decals you're buying, right? But anyway, Peterbilt 377 AE tractor. This is an odd bird of a truck. It was sort of a weird non-long haul vocational tractor is how this was marketed back when it was new. And it was a more aerodynamic version of the 379, and not a lot of people used this. I can only think of one major trucking company called Star Transport out of Morton, Illinois, that used these on a regular basis. They were actually a house carrier for Caterpillar back when Caterpillar was still making Class A diesel engines for tractor trailers, such as how long ago that was. I don't believe Star Transport's even around anymore at this point. There's two Star Transport, one's still around, but the one in Illinois is long gone. And they use these trucks, but they were pretty much the only one. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of an odd duck truck in the fact that it's not really meant to be a long haul truck. It was meant to be sort of a short haul truck, a vocational truck. And what I mean by that is like construction and things like that. So yeah, it's a thing that existed, but not, it wasn't a very popular thing. It was kind of a weird kit for Italeri to make, but it is what it is on that. And then the other version of an Italeri rebox that you're going to get in January is this Western Star 4964 tractor. This is a 80s, I want to say, Western Star. It's been a little while since this kit has been available in the United States in an Italeri boxing, so this might be worth picking up if you're interested in the subject matter. However, you should know what to expect here in the general sense that this kit from Italeri has been around for 25 plus years now, so if you're a truck builder, you've probably seen what this is. You probably have one. Do you want to pick another one up? I don't know. But anyway, that is available for the truck guys. And lastly, for the truck guys, for an actual genuine AMT kit, is the reissue of the Alaskan Hauler Kenworth Conventional. So this is the K925 Kenworth. Remember the kit that didn't exist and it had been destroyed by making the T600, and then it magically showed up one day? This is the other version of that kit. Now, this says that it includes authentic Alaskan Hauler parts. I'm not totally sure as to whether or not they've been recreated or they found the inserts. But yes, this is either a recreation of or the return of the Alaskan Hauler in that sense. The base kit, the W925, has been around for 4 or 5 years now since they reissued it. Been reissued as a Coke truck and other stuff. So I know this is one of the more requested big rigs that sort of like an existing kit that they could bring back, and they are doing so. So yeah, for a lot of people, probably never seen one of these before as far as the internals go, because reissued back or released back in the 1970s with the original truck. I think it had an 80s reissue in there somewhere too, but another kit that's been gone for a very long time, almost as long as the W925. W925 a little bit longer missing because this came out afterwards. But for truck fans, yeah, this is something you guys have been waiting on, so that's something to look for at your local hobby shop. And then just sort of a random assortment of other odds and ends for AMT this month. So let's look at some stuff here. So you got the Aqua Rod Racing Team. This is the first time this has been released as a box set since the 1970s. It is the pretty much venerable at this point because they've reissued the 75 Chevy van so many times at this point. Chevy van, then you have the ski boat, and then you have the trailer that the ski boat goes onto. So technically, this is considered to be 3 kits in one box. The new thing here is they're going to include the graphics package from the original 1975 catalog that AMT put out, but those decals and those graphics were not actually included in the kit in 1975. So yeah, you're going to get a little bit of an art school from the 70s vibe here. It'll be interesting to see what those are really going to come out, what those decals really look like. I've only seen sort of small images of them, not seen the full size decal sheet. But yeah, I mean, if this is going to again be a pricey item because you're getting 3 model kits in the box. But if it's something you're into, it's certainly again something that hasn't been available since the late 1970s. So an interesting option for your collection. And then you thought we were done with the Coke kits, didn't you? You heard somewhere, I'm sure because I've seen this, that the Coke licensing was done at AMT because Revolve Germany was releasing some stuff with Coke on it, and obviously the two can't coexist. Oh, yes, they can, because here's a Chevy Nova 2 station wagon with Coke liveries and 4 bottle crates as well. So this is going to be the curbside version. This was, the 63 Nova wagon, of course, at this point came out as a curbside, and then it came out as a reproduction of the entire full detail kit last year. So this is the curbside again, no engine, just the engine insert for the chassis, the Craftsman Plus, if you will, with Coca-Cola decals thrown into it, because yes, we are going to Coca-Cola all the things this year as well. And if you don't believe me, then I present to you a 33 Willys, also with the Coca-Cola tie-in and the 4 Coca-Cola crates. 33 Willys panel van, gasser, otherwise included here. Y'all ought to know what that is by now. That kit's been around longer than dirt itself. Speaking of things that are as old as dirt, how about a reissue of the 1966 Ford Thunderbird? Okay, not as old as dirt, but this kit still is managed to be older than I am. It was tooled in 73, I believe, is what the ScaleMates date on this is. You're going to have red line, white wall, pad printed tires included. They've retooled the tonneau cover for the custom version, so I guess that makes it fit better. I'm not sure what was wrong with it, other than the fact that it's probably missing that from the last several reissues of this kit. But 3-in-1 stock, convertible, hard top, custom, the whole 9 yards there. So all the parts in the box there. It does have newly tooled wire wheels as well, so that's a new option included in this for folks that already have one of these and you don't think you need another one. AMT is like, ho, 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 sir, you are misjudging us. Another kit with some new pieces and parts added into it is going to be this reissue of the 55 Chevrolet Nomad 3-in-1. When this was announced in the monthly round 2 videos, yes, Chad still does those if you haven't been paying attention, there were some comments to that video like, why are you bringing this back? It was just out. Okay, last time the 55 Nomad was out was 2008. I hate to break it to anybody, but that was 15 years ago. Yes, that's right. Time flies when you're having fun. This is going to have all the parts put back into. One of the biggest complaints about the 2008 version of that kit was the fact that actually wasn't really round 2 because they were at that point still leasing the tooling from Tomy, who had bought it off Racing Champions. Racing Champions had gutted this kit and made it like factory stock ish. It didn't have the pickup components. It didn't have the drag racing components. It was just like a box of disappointment to a great deal of people who bought this expecting a 3-in-1 Trophy Series kit. Well, it is back as a 3-in-1 Trophy Series kit this time around. Brand new tooled chrome trees on this, so all the chrome in this has been completely retooled. I guess a bunch of it was either broken, damaged, or missing. So recreated, updated a little bit. Got pad printed drag slicks in this. This box art is from 1972, I think. It's early 1970s, and recreation of that box art. So new decals, tinted window options, all the things you would expect out of these old kits. Again, if you're going to reissue an old kit, I support this kind of thing where you're adding stuff to it and fixing stuff and making it an overall better building experience than the thing that you've been getting over and over again. And then lastly, from round 2 for this month, and it'll be the one kit that I personally will be purchasing, is the release of the all-new tool 2021 Dodge Charger RT. Oh, a new car, I'm buying it. Are you shocked? Yes. Well, I've now seen a production version of this. Again, scale model experiment. James Tester got his hands on an early production copy over his place. I have not seen it in person, although I was over his place late last year. The looks like a good kit. Got 2 wheel choices in here, stripes in a number of colors. I believe it's white, silver, and black. So you can paint the car any color you want to, and you're not stuck to not having stripes or only using stripes to coordinate with the box art colors. So that's a nice thing. And yeah, looks like a pretty decent kit. Looks like the 150 plus pieces. So hopefully it won't be over engineered the bad way the Lindbergh Dodge Charger, the 2008 Charger was, because that had 150 pieces too, but it was unnecessarily complex. This doesn't have that same sort of feel from it. Looking at it, when you think about 150 pieces, we got four wheels you're not going to use, so you're down to 140 some parts there. The Chrome Tree has the center caps for the police wheels. So yeah, if you didn't know there's a police car version of this coming, there's a police car version of this coming. So you're going to use the 4 of those either. So they don't go to either one of these wheel sets. So that's another 4 parts. And they down to 140 parts. So, you're like a high-end Revell kit as far as part content goes. Should, in theory, because this seems to be designed in a way that matches like modern tooling specifications, should be a good kit. Hopefully it's a good kit. Love to buy some police cars of this kit. Please don't make this a bad kit that I don't want to get more than one of. Please be nice. Well, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with this in police car sense, because the vehicle as it's set up does not have the all-wheel drive setup. All-wheel drive wheels are one of the things I asked for when sort of put out to the public as to what would you like to see in a police version, because the wheels are different in terms of the dress wheels between the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive, and the police rims themselves, like the steel wheels with the center caps, also different between the all-wheel drive and the regular car. So be interested to see what wheels, what options. Very interested in that kit in general. As a former police car builder, what options you get in this and how close it's going to be to a real thing. A lot of the kits over time, hang on, we're on a tangent here. A lot of kits over time have been police cars, but they haven't been very good ones. They've had, they don't want to license the light bars. They don't want to license the Satina push bars and the prisoner separators, and so you get this sort of amalgamation of weird stuff that's not really one of anything, because it's looks like this but it's not really that. And 3D printing, being what it is at this point, probably can fix a lot of the problems, but I would like to have a box of things that are pretty nice to begin with and call it a day. So yeah, that wraps up round 2 stuff. We'll go overseas at this point and look at Hasegawa. We got some Fujimi, some Aoshima, as well as a release from the folks over at, as I like to call it, Bima Nunu, the combination of BMX and Nunu in one name, if you can't figure that out. So over at Hasegawa, number of releases from Hasegawa. So most of these are, well, actually all of these are just reissues, but they are new kits in the sense of being new reissues. First up on the list here, the Honda Civic 3-door hatchback 1972 50th anniversary version. The true irony of this kit is the fact that it didn't come out till January, so at this point it is now the 51st anniversary edition. I don't think there's anything new about this at all. It's a 50th anniversary Civic boxing, but I don't think there's anything in this kit that's new. They have not done a 1972 Civic at this point. They did a 73, they did a 75. Those are the 2 versions of that tooling, other than the race cars that exist. I don't think there's any new parts to this. I don't think there's anything different about this. I think everything that you would have to make a 1972 Civic is already in that kit to begin with, so they're not going to mention it as being new. It has new decals, but I don't think it's, if you have a Civic 73, I don't think you need this unless you're really, really into Civics and you want to collect the box. Reissue run a rally kit here, 2006 Rally Italia, 2005 WRC Subaru Impreza. This is Christian Solberg's entry, finished 6th in this rally. It is molded in white, so you have to paint the red, which is a nice choice because red is what red is. It looks like this thing has the WRC blue hood scoop in this picture, does it not? And yeah, the whole back and the whole wing on these things are carbon fiber. The mirrors are carbon fiber. There's a lot of carbon fiber on this car. There is a Studio 27 carbon fiber detail set for the Tamiya version of the 2005 Subaru Impreza. I assume it would fit this, more or less, because they should be the same thing. This would be a real test on that whole thing of that Hasegawa's are small 124 scale kits. But yeah, it's an option out there. Red Devil Energy Drinks delivery on that. And speaking of reissues of race cars, you get the Jaguar XJR8 Le Mans bodying of the Championship 1987 FIA WEC car here. This is particular for the 1987 Silverstone round of that race. No silk cut in this kit. in 1987 in Silverstone, the tobacco livery was verboten, so the blank car is correct for the race. You're going to get a couple of resin pieces to this kit that are new. If you look at the picture here, hopefully I remember to leave it up this long. Right above the Jaguar and the barcode for the silk cut, there's that little part that's jutting up between the headlights. That doesn't exist in the kit. That's going to be a resin piece. And then those little things on top of the fenders there. They said they're calling them outlets. I think they're the mirrors, to be honest with you. But whatever they are, those are not in the kit as it stands, and those are going to be resin pieces as well. So it's a very, very specific release of this kit, but again, you're taking tooling from the late 1980s, throwing some stuff at it, and getting a new model out of it. This is Hasegawa's specialty. And continuing with that, the Nissan Skyline GTR BNR32 Nismo intercooler. So the Nismo version of their new tool R32 GTR series was the first kit that they released. It's got to be almost 2 years ago now. This is going to have a decal, that Nismo decal on the intercooler. New kit, folks. Thank you for coming. Moving on to the next thing. Legitimately, that's what it is. Yeah, okay, sure. It is also going to have pretty much all of the parts included in it for the earlier. Well, let's see. I'm trying to look at my boxes from here and see if I can see. That was a 89. They've done the 93. They've done an 80. They did the 90. They did the 91. I think this has all the parts for all of the GTRs in it, so you could build sort of like any year Nismo, because the Nismo was not a specific year car. It was, they did Nismos every year of the R32. So yeah, all right, cool. I guess gives you the opportunity to, you know, build something other than an 89 gunmetal car. But yeah, a decal. That's the new thing there. Speaking of decals and new things, how about a Toyota Starlet? We don't have enough of these. There's only like 8 of them at this point. And this is going to be in a EP71 SI version, 12-valve EFI. So this is legitimately the 7th one of these Starlet kits they've released. Of the 7 Starlet kits, 5 of them have been Turbo S, which was the top of the line. 2 of them have been the down trim SI versions, which have the stock wheel covers and the SI and the smaller non-turbo engine. This is the ski version, so you're going to get the ski rack for the roof and the 4 figures, 2 male, 2 female. They've been putting the ski thing into pretty much anything they think could haul skis. I would be really interested to know, having seen these Starlets in person, having started working on one of the kits, where exactly they think you're going to put. I mean, the skis go on the roof rack, obviously. Well, where they're going to put all the rest of this crap? Because if you've ever gone skiing, snowboarding, snow tubing, anything involving a mountain and snow in the wintertime, you know that you got a whole lot of crap that you take with you: coats and gloves, and especially skiing, ski boots, and all that stuff. The Starlet is one of those cars that if you were in the back seat, you wouldn't want to get rear-ended in. I want to know where all this crap that these people have went when they were driving this sporty two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive car up a mountainside. Mysteries of the unknown. Another reissue with some recycling of parts. Mitsubishi Galant 2000 GSR early version with chin spoiler. So that little protrusion down there that looks like a shovel beneath the turn signals, between the front license plate there. Resin piece. They've done a resin chin spoiler on a late version, so now we're putting it on the early version. You will also get what they call sport window option, which is the louvers in the back there. It's not, if you don't have one of these, like if you didn't buy these as they came out, this is a really cool option, right? You got the chin spoiler, you can use it, you can not. It's resin, so it's not connected to the kit itself. You can choose to leave it off. I think the rear window louver option is kind of cool. It is what it is. It jingles a certain nostalgia thing in me, the rear louver thing. But this is a really cool kit in general. These are a lot of these Hasegawa kits, well, almost all of these Hasegawa kits that they've done in the last 6 years have been really good model kits when it comes down to it. And if you don't have one yet, this is a great way to dip into it and get a couple of extras. It's not enough for me to buy another one. I already have 3 of them. I don't need one specifically to have some resin bits, but like I said, for others, great time to jump in. And the last Hasegawa release for January is going to be this reissue of their Group A racing version of the Toyota Supra. New to Supra came out last year. They've done a series of race cars throughout 2021. This is going to be the first non-Japanese version. This is the 1991. I don't know if this is Tuhei's or Tohei's or Tuhei's Bathurst 1000 kilometers 1991 Australian Endurance Series. This car specifically, with its Merchants National livery, finished 18th overall, but it's a pretty famous car in Australia nonetheless. Um, this is another good kit. The Super is a good kit, both in factory stock and in racing version. Certainly a much better kit overall than the Tamiya was. Even though Tamiya's kit was an '87, and there's a completely different, completely difference between those two kits, just in general, between the '87 and the '88 to '91 Supras. But yeah, if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's a nice addition to what is a Japanese touring car, Japanese touring car, Japanese touring car kind of situation to have something else. They've been doing a lot of that recently. They did a whole bunch of 24 hours of Spa cars. They've done a whole bunch of Macau, Gear Race of Macau cars. So yeah, how about a Bathurst car? So that is an option if you're so inclined. I don't believe there's any new parts in here. It's just some new decals off the race parts that already exist. Over at Aoshima, legitimately the only new vehicles, new kits that you're going to get this month. We're not going to do the thing with Aoshima anymore where we went over like every single reissue they were doing every month, because that was like 15 things that were restock reissues, and that's just nobody cared. I don't think people were interested in the new stuff or the significantly reissued things. So the only new kits in January over at Aoshima are going to be 3 paint options on pre-painted Lamborghini Aventadors. I believe I announced these kits as a concept when I was still doing the weekly show. It took that long to get this taken care of. So these are going to come pre-painted, and we've talked about this in the past. Aoshima's pre-painted kits are painted from top to bottom, from stem to stern. So the interior is painted, the chassis is painted. It's not like the Revell pre-paints where the body was pre-painted, but the rest of the kit you had to do yourself. These are great weekend models, great slump busters. You do have to deal with the fact that, of course, they're painted over their parting lines and injector pins and everything else. But as a get out some glue and assemble a model kit, it's a viable option. Good way to get a younger modeler into a more complicated kit, because these do have engines in them. This is the full Lamborghini Aventador, not the one that was a curbside. So you have the option to buy this in sort of a burnt orange, as well as they call this gun metallic. It's gunmetal, and then the lime green color as well. And you may have noticed as we're going through the pictures there, the interiors are color keyed to the exteriors, and those interior pieces are painted the exterior color. So even that part's already done for you, which is a nice touch. So yeah, an option out there if you're included, if you're so inclined, I should say. It does include, if we're going to use the word include there and save ourselves from that stumble, it does include a much higher price tag than a regular model kit. But again, everything's already done for you. You just have to glue it together. Over at Fujimi, we're going to get what is the 4th release of their JB23 Suzuki Jimny kit. This has come out, it was a new toolkit, came out in the middle of last year while we were sort of in stasis. This is going to be a white pearl version of this. These are the next kits that Fujimi has done, where they're snap-type kits that are very, very highly polished. The idea being that you don't have to, paint it, or it's a snap-type kit, so you don't have to glue it and all the rest of that happiness. So yeah, I picked. This is going to be a purchase this month as well. It's white. I can paint it any color I want to. I don't have to paint over some very, very dark colors that these came out in the first time. It came out in like a khaki olive drab. It came out in a dark blue. It came out in a bluish black purple color. White, I can paint it any color I want to. This is the Suzuki Jimny that was made between 1998 and 2018. There will be finally a new toolkit of that 2018 to current Jimny coming out in February. It is going to be bolted in a really loud color off the bat, so again, that'll be something I wait on as far as getting a white one or one that is a neutral color. The only downside to the Jimnys is their price. They're almost $42 in Japan. This is a really, really expensive snap-type kit. And the fact that they do not include decals. A lot of the early next kits, the Alfred and Velfire van, the Hustler, there was a Mazda Flare, and I'm trying to think what else. The not the RAV4, but the FJ Cruiser. All of those kits had at least one release that came with a tiny little sheet of waterslide decals for like the gauge cluster and the badging and things like that. This has not. And that kind of disappoints me. I wouldn't use most of the vinyl applique anyway, but I like to have non-vinyl appliques for the Suzuki logos, for the gauge cluster, and some other stuff like that. It's not a deal breaker. I'm going to buy one anyway, but yeah, I would rather, preferences being what they are, would rather have that be not that way. And then the last kit we're going to talk about in this video is the release from, this is going to be BMAX branding. Came out as a new kit the first 2 times. BMAX as a brand is back again. That deal with Aoshima that imploded almost as soon as it started and caused Nunu to come out, and there's a whole slew of confusion still to this day as to what company owns what. BMAX version here of the Lancia Delta S4, or the Super Delta, colloquially known. This is going to be the 1986 Rally Catalunya winner in the Griffon Team SO livery, iconic black and gold livery of the Semi-Works Griffon team. Should not be any new parts of this, should just be a brand new set of decals. There is a specific detail upset for it, as there are with every BMAX and new kit, so, something always to look for in that is the, oh, hey, by the way, you need to have the PE that's specific to this kit kind of thing. Any of the PE for any of the S4 should match it, but a lot of that PE sets are not available anymore because the PE set comes with a whole bunch of carbon fiber, so that those PE sets tend to sell faster because people don't want to, hey, let's face the fact, it's easier to use pre-cut carbon than it is to make your own. So anyway, guys, that wraps up this video. Hope you'd enjoy it. Now you know what you're going to spend your money on this month, and we'll see you guys on the other side.